Hey! How you guys doing? Dave McRae here. The date today is Saturday, January the 12th, 2019. Welcome to Saturday Movie Night. For those of you who are tuning in after the live broadcast, Saturday Movie Night is a live broadcast exclusive to level number 2 and 3 patrons on my Patreon. And if you want to vote, though, for the movie that I am going to watch, you have to be part of level number 3. And essentially what I do is I put out a list of movies, and the patrons that are on level number 3 vote for which one they want me to watch and do commentary on. And then once that's all settled, I open it up to level 2 and 3 for the live broadcast. And tonight I am going to be watching A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 edged out Black Christmas by one measly vote. I've been trying to get Black Christmas on there because I think it'd be a good one to watch, but Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddys Revenge is the one we are watching tonight. So this is going to be really cool. So in the chat room, we have a few of the patrons that have been kind enough to join me tonight, although I do realize that I think NFL playoffs is on tonight. So I don't think my ratings will be able to compete with them. I'm not a big football guy. So, but anyway, who do we got? We got Tabitha Short. Hey, Tabitha, how are you? David Ferguson's in there. Kieran Pritchard is in there. David Ferguson. Darrin Sands is in there. That's right. He says good morning because, of course, he's across the pond. That's right. It's quite late for you guys, or early, depending on how you look at it. This is going to be good. Now, before we get started, I want to show you my A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 VHS. It usually sits behind me up right about... let's see if I can do this. I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Right there. Right under the Freddy Krueger glove. And this is very old. I've had this, it says right here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this or not, because I don't think it'll probably go out of focus. But right up here, probably can't see that, no. It says 1989. 30 years old. I was 10 years old when I purchased, well, I didn't purchase it, but I think my mother or father bought it for me. 1989. Of course, this movie is from 1985, so it was only 4 years after the movie came out. Hard to believe. It does show its age, because obviously you can see a bit of that right there, and you've got, I had to use Scotch tape to sort of hold that down. That piece of Scotch tape right there is probably about 25 years old. It's insane. But kind of cool. Kind of cool. So we're going to be watching A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Now, obviously how this works is you won't be able to, if you're new watching the broadcast afterwards, you won't be able to watch or see the movie, obviously, for obvious reasons. You might hear a voice here or there in the background, but I'm going to be watching it. You'll be watching me watching it. Isn't that exciting? But the idea, of course, is that I want you guys to watch along with me. So if you have A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, digitally, Blu-ray, VHS, DVD, 4K, I don't even think it's out on 4K, but whatever, I don't even think so. Oh, no, it is out on Blu-ray because they released it in a package, which I have. Pop it in and watch it with me because this is going to be good. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, let me see here. Let me bring it up here, and I'll let you guys know where I am. I am beginning the movie now. I'm pressing play now, and what's on the screen is the New Line Cinema film strips are going off into the distance, or coming this way, I guess, and it says New Line Cinema is what it says right now. So, there you go. And the bus is just coming around the corner. I love this shot. This reminds me of the street I used to live on back in the 80s when I was a kid. It's kind of fun. And of course, A Nightmare. I love how the font for this movie, the title, the A Nightmare, is like just real kind of like Freddy slicing into it. And then the part 2 is so tiny and small, and then Freddys Revenge is like this completely different font, It's kind of interesting. But nonetheless, this is a great opening scene. This is my second favorite Elm Street movie because for those of you who are new to my channel who are watching this after the fact, and by the way, that's I think that's Robert Englund actually driving the bus. I think that's him, right? Let me just see here. Yeah, that's him. That's cool. And of course, back in 1985, you would not, like, we can pick up on that now. We'd be like, oh, it's Robert Englund. In 1985, nobody watching this film would have been like, oh, that's actually the guy that plays Freddy Krueger. No. Now we can, but, and I think that's so great because obviously only one film had been released at this time. You didn't know what he looked like, you know? It was really awesome. And what was I saying? Oh, yeah, it's my second favorite Elm Street film because Freddy is still fucking scary in this movie. He's genuinely scary. There's a few things that may not make, not make sense, but there's a few liberties that they took in terms of the dream world and reality and having Freddy actually in reality, but people aren't dreaming. There's a couple of things that hardcore Elm Street fans aren't crazy on with this movie. Of course, there's the homosexuality sort of undertone to the film, which was, for the most part, ahead of its time. And of course, as a kid, when I was a kid, I didn't pick up on that, right? I was 6 years old when this movie came out, so I'm just watching it, and I think, you know, what's his face? Oh, God, why? Mark Patton's his Jesse. I thought he was just kind of this weird guy who does this weird kind of dance in his room, right? But there's that undertone there. Like, obviously, he's playing a straight guy, but it's Freddy Krueger that is sort of, he's the one going after Jesse. Freddy's really weird in this movie. He's very uncomfortable in this film, which is pretty interesting. It's very different than from the first film. And of course, the bus is going off into the field now. It's just totally Southern California. Like, I mean, it looks like Southern California. And they can get away with it because it's a dream. So, but this does not look like, where did it, Springfield, Ohio? Is that where it was supposed to take place? Or Springwood or whatever? I think I said Springfield. I think that's The Simpsons. Comment in the comment section. Am I right on that? Is it supposed to take place in Ohio? Is that where it is? This is clearly not Ohio, I can tell you that. Frank Riker says, Freddy's face, Springwood, thank you. Freddy's face is still dark and barely seen, which makes it even creepier. Yeah, and I heard, I was watching a panel with Mark Patton and Kim Myers about a year or so ago, and according to Mark Patton, we'd have to sort of do a bit of independent research on that, not research, but kind of verify it for ourselves. But according to him, he thinks Freddy is only in this movie. His total screen time, where you actually see him on screen, is about 12 minutes. It's fantastic. Patton said that, and it was a great insight that he had. He said that really the first two films are about the characters and their relationships. By the time you get to Elm Street 3, it became very apparent that these movies now are about Freddy. You know, and that's understandable. I mean, that's the progression of him becoming the star, you know, but it was one of the reasons why I think there was a bit of a downfall. Because you had to show him so much and you had to put him out there so much because it was all about him now, right? As opposed to this, it wasn't all about him. You know, he was far scarier in these two early films. David Ferguson says, I like that none of the original characters are in the film except for Freddy, but most of them return again for part 3. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, part 2 is definitely the black sheep of the series. No doubt about it. I mean, it is the Halloween 3 of the series, so to speak. This is a great shot where it pulls down and you see the bus on those two little kind of, it's just so awesome. And the lightning hitting the bus and things falling around it. It's very surreal. There's a very surrealism around this, but it's not too over the top. Like the later Elm Street sequels, once you get to 5 and 6, they're really over the top. This seems like a legit nightmare. Still grounded, a little sensational, more sensational than the original movie, but still kind of within the realm of probability of what you might dream, some crazy kind of thing. Look at Freddy here. Look at that. Those are miniatures, I'm positive. The knives coming up over the... Yeah, it's intense. I'm watching this in HD and it looks fucking fantastic. And he looks so scary and the bus tilting back and forth. It's cool. It's really cool. Doesn't get the credit it deserves. It's a cool dream. Horrible nightmare. And look how dark he is. Look at that shadow. Look at the face. You just see just ever so slightly. Then, of course, boom. We wake up to Jesse screaming in the upstairs. So in this movie, I don't think, although I know they read from Nancy's diary, which apparently was left in the house, but I think she talks more about Freddy Krueger and the dreams she has. I don't think, do we learn in this movie where that family went? Like, they obviously moved out, but this is only supposed to take place, this is not that long after the original, right, guys? Like, this is like a year maybe after or something like that. It's not like we've jumped, or maybe it's 5 years. Is it 5 years? Fuck, I haven't watched this movie in a little bit. Maybe it's 5 years. That would make sense then. You don't need to, you can just assume that they left or whatever. Look at the tighty whities, Jesse. Woo! Ow! Love it. Tabitha Short says, it was never explained where the family moved. Yeah, I didn't think so either. It's just this new family. So I guess you're just left to assume that, well, I mean, you know, they moved away. Or maybe they were murdered. Maybe they were killed from Freddy. Who knows? Glue-Bite, a great dad. Yeah, he was the kind of dad that you're like, he kind of reminds me of the dad, Mike's dad in Stranger Things. He's your typical, maybe that's who he was emulated after. I don't know. But he reminds me of Mike's dad in Stranger Things. Typical mid-'80s father. You know, he looks the same. He's probably an accountant. I don't know. Some 9-to-5 business guy. Not that there's anything wrong with accountants if anybody's watching this, okay? I'm just saying the illustrated stereotype. Do you know what I mean? And stuffy. He's got his shirt and tie on already, you know, and he's totally oblivious to what's really going on in his children's lives, and he's always like, no, you gotta be home. It's so great. Darrin says, according to IMDb, Michael J. Fox was considered for the role of Jesse, but couldn't because of Back to the Future and Teen Wolf commitments. I heard something about that. I totally forgot about that. Thanks for bringing that up, Darrin. I remember hearing something like that a long time ago. But yes, he definitely, of course, 1985 was when Back to the Future and Teen Wolf, I believe, both came out that year. And, of course, he was in the middle of doing Family Ties as well. I believe he would do Family Ties in the morning and Back to the Future at night or something like that. It was a fucking intense schedule. Poor guy, eh? Man. Good Canadian guy. So now I'm at the scene where they're playing baseball. I think this is the one where Jesse gets into the fight and he gets his pants pulled down or something, and you can see his tighty whities again. I'm telling ya, there's a lot of tighty whities in this movie. There's Kim Myers as what's her name? I'm forgetting her name in this movie. Why am I drawing a blank? I went for a run this afternoon. Maybe that's why. Lisa, thank you, Frank. Lisa, of course. I know her real name, but I can't think of her character name. Yeah, that was great. She's great in this movie. She was a good... I love these. It's just the way he said, he's like, and he falls down, you know? You always can tell. Watch movies where people are hit in the face. One thing that bothers me about characters who get hit in the face with a ball or, you know, whatever it is, you always know they can tell it's coming. Obviously, they know it's coming, right? Because they're acting. But they blink a second before they're hit. And they do. It's the unconscious anticipation of taking something to the face. Watch it. You'll see it a lot, and it's always bothered me. If I was directing the movie, I'd be like, dude, don't try and blink. You know what's going to happen? Just stand there and let it hit you. Blink when it hits you. Don't blink the second before it hits you. Darrin says, Tabitha didn't exactly work wonders for Mark Patton's career. No, that's true. That's true. There's a tighty whities again. I love this guy. I love it. Coach Snyder, isn't it? Comes over. This never happened. And he's got something, like there's that sort of, you know, gay undertone with him as well. Because obviously he winds up at the bar. And yeah, it's really like... Yeah, I'll leave it for another video to really like. I should do a video where I dive deep into the analysis on this movie. I don't want to do that too much here because I still want to comment on what I'm seeing, but it's very interesting. I've come to appreciate the undertones of what they're doing in this movie a lot more over the years. It's not just, they're not just willy-nillying it. Like, it's not just, oh, why is this movie got some... No, there's a specific reason, and it can be quite creepy of what they're trying to say, and it makes it that much more like, wow, what's going on, you know? It's pretty cool. Look, Brady, you got some fucking problem. It's killing time, man. Those are weak push-ups. Look at Snyder. All right, dirtbags. That never... Listen, maybe it's a U.S. thing. I don't know. But the schools I went to, my gym teachers weren't that mean. Okay, hey, dirtbags! Do the push-ups, you fucking dirtbags! Of course, nowadays, you could get the teacher in trouble. Gym teachers were like, come on, you know. But I don't recall a gym teacher ever calling me a dirtbag. That would have been awesome, though. I would have loved it. Love the shot of the Elm Street house. And of course, the door is red in this movie. And the house looks, as you guys know, because I was in West Hollywood just a couple of months ago. And I visited the Elm Street house on a number of occasions over the last couple of years. And it looks identical to that. Go back onto my videos for those who are maybe new to my channel and check. It looks identical. They haven't changed it. They haven't even painted the door. I think they probably haven't done... I mean, there would be no reason, I don't think, for the new owners or the owners that own the place not to paint it. I think they don't paint it because they don't want... They want to give fans who come to the house, like, oh, you know, whatever it is, you know what I mean? But in the original Elm Street, it was a blue door. It wasn't a red door. In the sequel, it was red, and then it was red from there on, you know, out. But in the original Elm Street, it was a blue door. See, that's creepy too. When Jesse looks out the window and you see Freddy, but he's just kind of there and he moves away. Like, it's shit like that. That's great. It's like, is there somebody out there? Like, am I dreaming? Is there somebody out there? This is the kind of shit that I love about the first two films. Even though the beginning of this movie was quite sensational in its dream presentation, it was really cool though. Like, sometimes if it's really cool, it's really cool. You got to give credit where credit is due. But Jesse is clearly dreaming here. But there's nothing, it seems legit. I like that about the first two films. A lot of the dreams felt very grounded, very real, something you would dream, something you would daydream. You know, he's outside here. He's obviously dreaming, and we would suspect this. But the later sequels, the dreams were just so ridiculous. The dream set sequences and it was just so crazy. Darrin says, it's actually way ahead of its time. Yeah. Are you talking about... Yeah, it is. It is. 100%. I agree. He looks through the window. He sees Freddy reaching into the fire, taking out his glove. Ooh. I should drop my glove down. David Ferguson says, it is probably... a listed building now. It could be. Although it's a... I mean, it might... I don't know. I'm not too sure. But it looks identical. Now, the only thing that's... in the original films, I believe, it does have... there's a bit more privacy around it. They have, like, a hedge now that goes around it. And, you know, you can still see it. But if you watch the original film, there was no, like, fencing or hedge. Now there is. But I think that's just that's just a sign of the times, and, you know, it's 30-something years ago, right? Lawns change, properties change. I love this when this is a great scene. He runs into Freddy right here. Daddy can't help you now. Shh. Look how he's caressing him. It's creepy. Like, what is he doing? Like, what is this? What is he doing to this kid? And look at the way he grabs his face and he turns it to him. And the way see that? See how he goes like this with his hand? It's like, oh. That line, you've got the body and I've got the brain. There was a kid I went to elementary school with. Maybe he's watching. Jamie Hunt. He was a big Freddy fan. And he used to walk around going, he'd be like, you've got the body. I've got the brain. Not quite like that, but yeah, he always used to say it all the time. I was like, okay, Jamie, we get it. He was a cute kid. But that was, but the way they shot that, right? You know, and then he tears back his scalp and you see his brain, and it's genuinely frightening. I mean, now, like, we have to keep in mind, these kinds of movies are dated now, right? I mean, obviously, because we've been so desensitized to the horrific things that we've been exposed to. But in 1985, that was scary. I mean, I remember watching this as a 6-year-old kid being like, I loved it. I loved it. But it was scary. Genuinely. Every high school horror movie has to have a classroom scene, of course. Sometimes several. Oh, he's falling asleep now. But there's that undertone. There's almost like this. I don't want to outright say it because I don't think they're necessarily saying that. But there's a very weird, perverted side to Freddy in this movie. And it's downright creepy, but it's an undertone. Like, they're not coming out and you know, saying it straight out. They're alluding to it through certain subtle nuances of his character and his actions, and it's downright creepy. Now, they pretty much abandoned that when they went into 3 and 4 and 5. You didn't really get that sense about him in the subsequent sequels. But definitely it was here, and it brought what was creepy about the first movie to a whole new level. Like, he was scary in the first movie, and you didn't have to go that route. But in this movie, it's like, oh, there's a side to Freddy we may not even know about. Because after all, he was a child murderer, right? You know, so it's just creepy as hell. I like how you think that the snake... Yeah. I like how they did that where you think the snake is part of the dream, perhaps. And for those of you that don't know, snakes, there's a lot of symbolism around snakes. Look up your symbolism on snakes. There's a lot. Look at the amount of snakes you see on Dagobah in The Empire Strikes Back. Lucas didn't throw that shit in there just because they're creepy. No, there's symbolism around that. It's great stuff. I love that. I love those nuances and subtleties. It's great stuff. The average fan may not pick that up, but when you know what to look for, it helps you appreciate the story and the film that much more. This father and his lazy boy. Look, I'm just sitting there. He's completely oblivious. Completely oblivious. Doesn't give a shit. I love the decor. It's so mid-80s. Now, obviously, the interior of where they shoot is not the same as the exterior, okay? Even in the original film. The exterior is... the interior is not the same. So, the Elm Street House is exterior only. Now, let me scroll up here, see how everybody's doing. Sorry. Oh, there's that music. I love the way he takes his brush or something. Now this, even as a kid, not understanding the sexualized sort of nature of this dance, I used to laugh at this. Like, when I used to watch this with my friends, like, we'd be laughing. We'd think, what is he doing? You know, it's so girly. You know what I mean? Like, we would think that as kids, right? And, of course, the song doesn't help. Yeah. I love it. It's great. It's so funny. Yeah, like as kids, you just thought this was he's being stupid. Like, this is just so silly, you know. Obviously, they allude to the fact very strongly in this movie that Jesse could be struggling with his sexual preferences. And of course, back in the 80s, coming out as a gay teenager or gay man, I mean, it was, you know, you had something to fear back then. Now, you know, it's a lot more acceptable and people are more accepting, which is great. But back then, back in the time this movie came out, not so much. It's not that there wasn't acceptance, but it wasn't nearly as much as it is today. So definitely they allude to the fact that even though he might find Lisa cute and he definitely maybe wants to have a thing with her, he's struggling with his sexuality in terms of his preferences and things like that. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's right there. When you're a kid, of course, you don't pick up on that. So here's where Lisa finds Nancy's diary. I can't believe that she would have. I always kind of thought, really, she left it there. Like it seems like you would have got that, but hang on. Did she say how long ago this was? I think it's 5 years, isn't it, or something? Darrin says she looks so much like Meryl Streep. You know what? That's actually a good observation, Darrin. She does. She does. I totally would buy, even today. She looks good. She's in her 50s now, I think, but she's aged very well. And she could totally play Meryl Streep's daughter or something like that. Yeah, 100%. A lot of features that are the same. I love how the diary had, dust on it, right? It's like, wow. I always thought this was cool and creepy as a kid when he starts reading about, because she read a dream that was sort of seemed inconsequential. And he starts reading and he starts to realize that, oh my God, this is about the person that I dream. And I remember as a kid even going, oh, that's kind of chilling. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Because then you'd start to think, well, is it the house? Is it the room? Is this place haunted? Like, what are the odds? It's creepy fucking shit. And you notice, like, it's true what Patton said about how the first Elm Street, you watch this Elm Street, it's very focused on the relationship between the two characters. The first Elm Street obviously focused on Glenn and Nancy. This focuses on Jesse and Lisa. And Freddy's there. It's not that you don't go to see him. You want to see him, but he's just not an afterthought, but he complements, and you hardly see him, and he's kept in shadow, and he's frightening. That's the best way to do it. There's a great shot of the house. Looks identical to that, minus the bars on the windows, by the way. Yeah, and I think less is more. Less is more when it comes to Freddy Krueger. My favorite representation of Freddy Krueger. I love that. I love he turned on the light and his baseball helmet just melted right to the lamp. So clearly, obviously, by now we understand Elm Street's sort of MO. We know that okay, he's dreaming. He's not just woken up and things are weird. I love that shot of the record, like drooping because it's so hot, right? Like obviously they're experiencing a heat wave and and it's really hot in his house, or is it? That's one thing that I love about this. And are they experiencing a heat wave? Yeah, it's summer. Maybe it's really warm, but it has more to do. You see, it's more to do with the symbolism about hell, heat, fire, Freddy, and this house. It has more. It almost has that supernatural element to it in terms of, it's really the house. It's really not the fact that they're going through a heat wave. I mean, maybe they are. It's hot. There's no doubt that it's hot. But it has more to do with the house, and of course they're trying to fix I don't know if they're trying. Do they have air conditioning? I can't remember. I think they just rely on fans or something like that. But that in and of itself, how hot the house is and everything, and in the dream you see the record, drooping down. Everything's so hot. It's that symbolism of fire and hell and evil, and it's just great stuff. I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Darrin says, yes, 5 years later, Elm Street was supposedly set in 81 with part 2 in 86. Okay, great. I have to brush up on that. Thank you. Really? The original Elm Street was supposed to take place in 81? Did they say that anywhere in the movie? I'll check that. I'm not saying you're wrong. Okay. I will check that out. Very cool. Good to know. Yeah, I did think this was supposed to be 5 years later. Like that stuck into my head. So, very, very cool indeed. This is great. He reaches in, he pulls out the glove when he opens it up, and it's like, what the fuck? Freddy wants him to find it because Freddy wants to use his body. He wants his body. Maybe in more ways than one. Gets a little weird. I'm a big fan of the glove from the first two movies. Look at him. Look how they're representing the makeup. Oh, yeah, he's fucking frightening as hell. Listen to that voice. Listen to the way that they dip the pitch in his voice.
It's right down here like this. It's right here.
Like, it's so frightening. And he looks so fucking terrifying. How could anybody want Freddy from Freddy's Dead? I don't understand. This is terrifying. The glove. It's great. And again, you see how we cut away from that moment. Now we're back into the relationship with the characters. We see them at school. We see it building. You know, it is. And it's important for that because obviously, as you guys know, you want to be emotionally attached to these characters. You want to care for these characters. You want to care if they die. You want to care if something happens to them. That's really important with any film. You want that to happen. So you don't want to. This is an 85-minute horror movie. You don't have a lot of time for exposition and character development, but you certainly want to make what you do count because you want to care. And Jesse, although he's obviously there's that undertone to him because obviously he's a gay man in real life and he was gay here too, right? So he has that sort of softer kind of side about him, but he's very likable. You know what I mean? He's a very likable character. He comes across as genuine and an easy target for Freddy, which is why Freddy's picking on him. Because he is an easy target. Because Freddy understands that Jesse is weak. Jesse is not confident because of what Jesse struggles with. So Freddy is exposing and exploiting those weaknesses and using Jesse. He understands that. And he gets it, and that's what Freddy's doing. And it's terrifying and frightening. It's great. It's great stuff. Like Darrin said, ahead of its time, for sure. Tabitha Short says, it's the fear from the others that make Freddy stronger. I wonder why they went with Freddy using Jesse's body. Well, I think it's because Freddy was they wanted to add a different sort of twist to this film, which a lot of hardcore Elm Street fans don't really like, is that bringing Freddy into the real world and reality, even when you're not dreaming. And although that was kind of like, I don't know if we should do that. There's still obviously a supernatural side to him. He's literally supernatural. But he wanted to use Jesse's body as a vehicle, to sort of make that transition, or part of the reason why. And obviously he's somewhat successful, and then it's the love that Lisa has for Jesse that brings him back. It's a weird but very interesting take. But they got back to basics, of course, by the third film. But I liked it. I liked it primarily because Freddy is frightening. Yeah, this bird flying around. I like this scene. I mean, it doesn't. It's a cool scene. Look at the sweat on the dad's back. I like details like that. Like you can see that's a lot of sweat, mind you. That's like the father's been fucking working out with weights in the basement or something. But certainly, those little details, having the sweat, on them. And how they do that, of course, obviously it's not really that hot on set. They spray people with a water bottle, get their necks glistening a little bit. Neck is important. Spray their backs, get the shirt wet. Makes you wonder how this family, I guarantee you they probably divorced after this. Darrin says, I didn't, he was in, The Return of the Living Dead? Oh. Yes. Yes. I haven't seen that in so long. He was a great character actor. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I always laughed at him in this movie. He's great. He's doing. I just laugh at the kind of dad he's. It's not his fault. He's playing the role well. I totally forgot about that. He was the lead actor in that movie. Yes, it's been so long since I've seen that, Darrin, that now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, yes. Oh, I love this. This. It just gets creepier and creepier. Freddy just gets so creepy. I gotta watch Return of the Living Dead again. I gotta watch that again. It's been years since I've seen that. It's been years since I've seen Night of the Living Dead. That's great. I love that. I love when it's in black and white and shit. I like Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead I really like. Man, I had forgotten about that. I gotta, yeah. Because I don't think about him much anymore. But you're right. He's a good character actor. So, of course, Jesse's dreaming, okay, for all intents and purposes. And he goes to this bar, which happens to be what? A gay bar. Well, this is Jesse's subconscious, right? This is Jesse's subconscious coming to him in his dream. This is what Jesse is struggling with. He's struggling with that sexual identity. And Freddy knows this. And Freddy is exploiting it through these dreams. Jesse's gay, okay? For those of you that don't know. Jesse is actually gay. But he is struggling with that, which is why he, of course, it doesn't mean that he's not attracted to Lisa or that he doesn't like her. I'm sure he does. And is. But ultimately, I guarantee you, if this was a real thing, their relationship would not have ended up working out in the end, because he would have had to have faced who he really was. And but this is what he's struggling with. This is what this dream represents. It's his subconscious, telling him that, yes, you are this person. But of course, like I said, Freddy's exploiting it. Yes, it was, Frank. Oh, yeah. Sure, huge. Yep. Yes, it was. Frank Riker says, I believe this was written and filmed during the AIDS scare. Oh, yeah. Early to mid 80s was a really, really bad time. Now, there are some people, some fans of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 that see this scene, the whole scene here, him going to the bar, him in the lockers, as actually playing out in reality. I don't see it that way. I see it playing out as a dream sequence. That's how I've always sort of interpreted it. You could interpret that it is part reality, because obviously they were dancing with that. In this movie, they were dancing with the line between reality and the dream world. But I've always when I've watched the movie, I've always seen this as it's a metaphor. It's for what's going on, because obviously, it's also telling us that Coach Snyder is probably, obviously gay, right? Which is why he picks on Jesse, because he likes Jesse, and he obviously likes Brady because Brady's an attractive young guy, right? You know what I mean? So, but there is that sense of reality too. It's an interesting film. Tabitha Short says, I love Bob Shaye in this scene. Yes, Bob Shaye. Oh, you mean in the bar scene? Yeah. He was the bartender, right? Yeah, that's right. Good job, Tabitha. Yeah, good job. Good eye. Tabitha knows her stuff, folks. Because not a lot of people know that, right? But you're right. Yeah, he was the bartender. Yeah, that was good. I like that. Darrin says, good idea, David. A Dawn of the Dead 78 watch party would be great. Yeah. That's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll throw that up for the next movie night. That'd be cool. Tabitha says, I caught that years ago. Yeah, I did too. But a lot of people don't. So, good eye, Tabitha. So there's some people that watch this scene that find it kind of cheesy, you know, the balls being thrown and things like that. But obviously it runs with the theme because Coach Snyder is tied up, you know, and he's whipped. Yeah, there's a lot of symbolism. Some blatant, some inconspicuous. This is not inconspicuous. Especially when they tear off it. Look at this. Look. Woo! Ow! And they're whipping his ass. And Jesse's watching this, right? Yeah, I mean, it's a whole... Yeah. And then this is cool. I love... Watch as Freddy, quote unquote, walks through the fog and notice that it's not Freddy Krueger. It's Jesse. Watch the stature. You're supposed to think it's Freddy. Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, a lot of people say that whole thing was it actually happened because obviously Brady says to Jesse, yeah, somebody sliced him up in the showers, blah, 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 which would indicate, oh, well, he was really sliced up in the showers. But there's other people that look at it and say, well, yeah, no, it was actually, you know, because here he is home, right? Sorry, I just want to hear this. Yeah, it's really interesting. I've always seen it. There is the reality angle there, but you could make an argument that he was dreaming this. Maybe even sleepwalking. And that Freddy was able to manipulate him and control him that way. But you certainly can make the argument that that actually did all happen in reality. In terms of him being conscious of what exactly was happening. But I think the idea was to have it almost like not a lucid dream, but a almost maybe like a sleepwalking dream. Almost. So he's asleep, but it's a mixture maybe of, now that I'm seeing, because I haven't watched this movie in a couple years, now that I'm seeing it, I'm feeling maybe now it's more of that in between. So it actually is happening, but he's not aware of what's going on, so to speak, in full consciousness. It's really fascinating. Because obviously the coach does actually die, right? But that doesn't change what the bar represents. The bar still represents Jesse's subconscious in terms of what he's struggling with. 100%. Frank Riker says, my dad used to ask if I was on drugs constantly when I did something wrong too. Typical fathers. My dad never asked me that, but yeah, I can understand. Yeah. Are you on drugs? Are you on drugs? Are you on drugs? I love the way he says it too. He's like, are you on drugs? Like George Bush or something. You on drugs? Darrin says, we had to wait a year for the movie to be released in the UK. The US released in November 85, whilst the UK released in October 86. Oh, it was often the case back then. Huge gaps in US, UK release dates. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Not so much huge gaps like that now. Usually it's maybe a week or two. But you're right. Yeah, back then there was big. That's a large gap. That's really cool. I didn't know that. See, now it's starting to come to his mind. See, that's the moment when Brady says, did you hear it? Blah, 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 blah. He's like, oh, shit. He starts to remember it. He's like, oh, shit. You know, that was me. I did that. Tidy Whities! Everybody take a drink. And everybody take a drink every time you see Tidy Whities on the screen. Of course, there's the glove, and it's moving on its own, right? See, this film's got that That weird hybrid balance between reality, not fantasy, but reality in the dream world. It's creepy as all fuck. Because it's like, okay, is he dreaming? Is he sleepwalking, dreaming? Is this reality? I love this. I love when he opens the door and he sees the little one. Ah, it's so fucking creepy. Look at how they slowed it down. And he sees his sister dancing. Not dancing, sorry, doing the jump rope. He was going to kill her. And then he doesn't. That's a great scene. One of the creepiest scenes in the whole movie. The whole movie. It's fantastic. So, like he suppresses his sexual sort of preferences and who he really is deep inside in that way, he's suppressing what happened the other night in terms of Coach Snyder. He knows. Like, as soon as he spoke to Brady, and Brady was like, "Did you hear? Fucking coach got, like, sliced up in the heart." Right? Jesse's face was like, oh my God. Holy shit. You know? But now he's walking around like he's trying to suppress it. He suppresses a lot of things. That makes somebody very vulnerable. When you suppress a lot of things, it makes you very vulnerable and an easy target. Especially if somebody knows about the things you're suppressing. Because then they can exploit you. And that makes you really uncomfortable and vulnerable. And that's what Freddy continues to do with Jesse. It's cool, isn't it? When you start to look at the movie, you go, oh, shit, that's what's happening. At least that's how I interpret it. Tabitha Short says, I just noticed a picture that was drawn on the cupboard of someone jumping rope. Oh, I didn't notice that. That's a cool, good eye. Love those subtle details. That's great shit. Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, you're right. Very cool. Very cool. Good job. That's awesome. Or maybe it's a swing or something. A swing, but no, it did. It kind of looked like a jump rope. That's cool. This is West Hollywood here. I can tell. I drove all around there a couple months back. Or not necessarily West Hollywood, but certainly Southern California. David Ferguson says, my dad used to get all these 80s horror movies on Pirate Betamax. Video cassettes when I was in my teens. Yeah, we never had Betamax. Well, that's not true. I mean, VHS obviously was the more popular one and it took over, even though Betamax actually was better quality, believe it or not. But VHS only won in the end because I think it was cheaper and it was obviously, the quality was marginal. It's not like you were like, wow, it's nothing like that. But VHS won the war. Essentially, when there was Blu-ray and then there was HD, right? What the heck was it called? Blu-ray and was it just HD? I thought there was something else. I thought it was something HD. Anyway, that was around for a couple years, and then Blu-ray won out. So this is where Lisa obviously takes Jesse to the area of where Freddy used to take all his children in hopes that Jesse might feel something, because Lisa right now thinks that this is all still in Jesse's head in terms of dreams. And she thinks, well, maybe it'll help him to come here. Maybe he'll feel something, or maybe it'll help him get over dreaming about this man. And of course, it's a good idea. I think anybody would do that when you sort of are not aware of the full extent of the circumstances. Frank Riker says, you could say Freddy accepted Jesse for what he is, and that's what allowed him to enter Jesse. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, for sure. There's so much that Jesse is suppressing, right? His sexual preferences, who he is as a gay man or a gay kid, a gay teenager, right? And of course, the murder that happened, right? Which happened, maybe he was, like I said, I always looked at it as maybe it's a hybrid of reality and the dream. And now he's suppressing that. It's not like he's telling her or he's told his family. Or he eventually tells Brady. in a fit of in a really sort of highly intense moment. But he's suppressing that right now. But Freddy knows everything. Freddy knows he's gay. Freddy knows that he murdered he made him murder the coach. You know, so Freddy's he can exploit that and make Jesse feel very vulnerable and scared. So that's you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. When you know people's deepest, darkest secrets about them, you can. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. You can exploit them. Darrin says, "Me too, Dave Ferguson. That's how I saw Halloween. The top third of the image was distorted and everyone..." That's great. That's great. I love hearing about those things, guys. I appreciate that. Tab of the Short says, "I don't think I've noticed that before. I try to pick up on things I never noticed before every time I watch these movies." Great. Yeah, you're talking about the jump rope on the cupboard. I didn't even notice it until you pointed it out. So you pointed something else out to me, which is cool. Oh, no, this is where I'm sorry. I said earlier he goes into the room when she's jumping rope to kill. Maybe he was thinking about it at that time. But definitely this is Jesse he's going into the room to kill her. Freddy wants him to kill her. Freddy is... He hasn't taken over his body yet, in the literal sense. But he's in his subconscious. He's in his head. He's making him do things that are way out of character. And Jesse knows that. And he's beginning to suppress the control that Freddy has over him. He's struggling deeply. But he's trying to even suppress that as well. And go on about his day like nothing's happening. And he's not sleeping, and he's taking those stay up late pills or whatever it is. Frank Riker says Freddy wants to see how far Jesse will go. Exactly. He's doing his work for him. He's doing the dirty work for him. He's pinning it on him. Even though Freddy doesn't have to do that because he's literally supernatural. It's not like Freddy's going to be arrested. See that? My dad thinks I'm on drugs. My mom thinks I'm crazy. And you know what? At this point, I'm not sure if I don't agree with her. No, he knows. He wants to think he's crazy. And there's a side of him that probably thinks that he could be, but he definitely, he's suppressing so much about him and what's going on, he's not facing the truth. He knows he's not crazy. He knows that. He thinks he might be going crazy, but he knows what he's experiencing. I wish you would talk to me. We can figure it out. I should grow my hair out like that. Like Jesse's hair. I could do that. I have wavy hair. Curly kind of wavy hair. So it could like fall down and should do it. Totally 80s. I love this. Shut up, Brady! And Brady's like, fuck! He's such your typical, fuck, man. But I love the scene between him and Brady at the party, which of course is what we're getting to now. Love that scene. It's a great emotional scene. And Mark Patton's performance is fantastic. It is. It's really good. It's really good. Tab of the Short says they were on there in the very beginning. They were on the and the stuff on the fridge and the cupboard, you mean? Yeah. Frank Riker says, Dave, you should do a video of you dancing to the All Night Long song. I should. Hold me, baby, all night long. Ow! I should do that. And I'll record it, and I'm on my bed, and I'm doing the whole thing. Maybe I will. You know what? I might. That would be funny. I don't want to get a copyright strike against. I probably wouldn't get a copyright strike. I mean, the video wouldn't be able to get monetized or anything like that, but I don't think it'd affect the channel. I might do that. That would be funny. Wear the glove. Yes! Now you're talking. David Ferguson says, I had a mullet back in the 80s. Yeah, my older brothers did too. They did. My older brothers, my brother Bob is 51 this year, and my brother Neil is 49 this year. So they were teenagers in the 80s. I love when he's making out with Jesse and his tongue, Freddy's tongue comes out. Because now now that's the moment where you realize, oh shit, Freddy is inside him. You see, do you remember earlier I said that, I want to correct myself actually, I said that Freddy is not literally inside him, he's tapping into the subconscious and making, you could still interpret it that way, but I think that was on purpose. And when the tongue comes out of him, that's the moment when you realize, oh shit, he is inside of him. Do you know what I mean? In some weird sort of way. Like, this is a very weird movie. They did take a lot of liberties in terms of what the original set up, in terms of, you know, how Freddy could kill you, how he gets to you, and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, man. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I forgive it just because it was of the symbolism that it surrounded, how crazy Freddy is. It's so creepy. He's so scary. The makeout scene. This is so silly. Oh, no. Forget it. They turn out the lights. Woo! They change the music, turn on the music. Look at these parents. Everybody knew parents like this. One of my favorite moments in the entire movie is coming up here in this pool scene. This pool scene is great when Freddy shows up. It's fucking great. Let me turn that down a little bit. That was kind of loud, wasn't it? Freddy is make Jesse repulsed by Lisa, knowing she can break his hold. Yes. Great observation, for sure. Here comes the tongue moment. It's so creepy. It's like, oh shit, he is in her. Or him. In her. Oh, Freudian slip there. He is in him. It's just so creepy. It's funny. Look at that. Oh. It's so it's practical effects, and I love it. That's that moment where it's like, oh shit. He is. How the fuck did he get in there? He's totally taken over his body. It's a weird thing. It's what the fuck? Frank Riker, why wasn't Brady invited? Yeah. Well, you mean to the party, or are you being facetious? And you mean to that? I like this scene. Darrin says Brady wasn't invited because he'd out-mullet everyone. Yeah, he probably would. Look at the posters on the wall. See? He's starting to... He's gotten to the point where that tongue sort of put him over the edge. It's like, fuck. He's starting to lose it. I like this. Yeah, she's female, and she's waiting for you in the cabana, and you want to sleep with me. Like, dude, come on! It's such a cheesy line, but it works. It's funny. It's a good performance. It's a good performance. Yeah, this scene is arguably one of the creepiest scenes in the entire franchise. And there's a lot of creepy scenes in the Elm Street films, but you can make an argument that this is really creepy when shit begins to go down. And remember when he's got his mouth open and you can see the eye going back and forth like that? It's like, what the fuck? And then, of course, Freddy literally comes out of his body. You know what I mean? And it's like, did Jesse's body just fall to the ground all like shriveled up like Invasion of the Body Snatchers shit? Like, what the fuck? I remember as a kid being like, what the fuck? This is amazing. And Brady thinks he's fucking nuts. And you would. You would. If you were in Brady's position at a school buddy, like he's not friends with him. He's not best friends with him. He's a school pal. He made fun of him. They got the fight. Pulled his pants down, exposed his tighty whities, right? See, I think Jesse is attracted to Brady. And that's why he went to Brady. One of the reasons why he went to Brady to feel the most, because he's attracted to him. Ultimately, subconsciously. He's suppressing this, and he knows. He's attracted to him, and that's why he went to him. It's one of the reasons why he went to him. Because ultimately he's attracted to Brady. That's not to say that Brady's attracted to him, but that's why he went there. And I love how he's like, fuck this. Nothing's going on. Who cares? Now, Brady must live fairly close to the pool party, I would imagine. Brady! It's happening. I love that. It's starting to happen again. It's like, shit. And you can't see anything. So now you're using your imagination, right? And you're like, what the fuck? What the hell's going on? He's just like, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? This is great. Look at him. He just looks like he's in pain. What the fuck's wrong with you, dude? I love it. He just looks like he's in pain. And then, of course, he looks down and we start to see the knives begin to come out, right? It's just messed up. It's messed up. And like everything's opening up. His skin's opening up. Freddy is coming out of his body. Or he's becoming Freddy, so to speak. Now, some say that Brady is actually sleeping here. And this is Brady's nightmare. And Freddy is using Jesse to get to Brady, right? In Brady's nightmare. There's so many ways you could interpret this. Yeah, look at the eye. I love it. It's great. It's great. Love the practical effects. And then, yeah, you got his bare chest exposed, and Freddy begins to come out of his chest like it's so like 80s greatness. Imagine, look at the face. You can see his face. You can see the details of his face and his chest. Imagine seeing this in 1985. Is that Ferris Bueller's dad? Look at that. And I love this moment where the body just falls off. Watch him rise. Watch Freddy rise. Look at that. That's fucking scary. Watch when he puts on his hat. Watch this. Oh, wait. Yes. It's not only Ferris Bueller's dad. Isn't that the same guy that was in Planes, Trades, and Automobiles? It's the guy that was in Planes, Trades, and Automobiles who said, "You'll never make the 6." I think it's the same guy. Look at that. Look how frightening he is. But yeah, like, and I tend to, now, of course, the parents see this, right? They see the knives. It's that blend of reality and the dream world. Because at this moment, Freddy is, is he there? Is he not there? Because look, Freddy now is in the mirror looking at Jesse. It was Jesse that murdered him, right? Jesse didn't really, do you know what I mean? So Brady was having the dream of Freddy, but it was actually Jesse that was murdering him. Do you know what I'm saying? There are a lot of people that have analyzed this, and I love it when I listen to people talk about this, because I'm like, yeah, I could totally see that. Look at the way Freddy's looking at him. And he's like, no.
You killed him.
I love the laugh. It's a great performance. He really looks terrified. Mark Patton, he looks terrified. So Freddy's nowhere to be seen. So you're left thinking, what the fuck just happened? Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways you can interpret that. I like talking about this angle of the film. The dream world, the reality, the mixture, the line they walk. It's cool. Now, obviously, this is reality. Excuse me. And he's so lost it now, he begins to tell her. Because he can't suppress the truth anymore about this side of himself anyway. He did. He murdered. Well, he did. For all intents and purposes, yes. He did murder the coach. Yes, he did murder Brady. But he was being supernaturally controlled by Freddy Krueger. And Freddy is able to use Jesse because he's weak. It's really cool. Darrin Sand says, we have to be getting close to Freddy's Michael Jason style leap out of the ground. Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm at the, where am I here? I'm an hour and 3 minutes into the movie. Jesse's going like this to Lisa. Look at the blood on my hands. That's where I am, folks. I don't know. Hopefully you guys are in and around the same spot anyway, within a reasonable amount of time. So now it's just cut to the pool, and you can see the steam on the pool beginning to sort of, take shape. And obviously the pool's temperature is going up, and it's like, what the fuck? What the hell is going on here, right? And Freddy is about to make his entrance into the real world. Now you know he's in the real world. Because he used... Oh, yeah, the hot dogs just go up in flames.
You are all my children now.
I love it. I'm not there yet. That's about to happen shortly, and I really like that scene. Now, I've always thought, okay, he's got blood all over his hands, and Lisa's not like, maybe you should go and at least wash your hands and maybe your chest. Let me give you another shirt. No, let's sit on the couch with your hands all bloody, your chest all bloody, and I'll just read from Nancy's diary. Because they don't know like anything bad's about to happen, right? So you would think that she would recommend that maybe he just clean up a little bit so you don't get blood, I don't know, all over my house. But the same principle in terms of how you defeat Freddy is the same in this movie. You can't fear him. You have to stand up to him. That still rings true. Oh, it's happening again. He's living off of your fear, see? He's exploiting you. He knows you're afraid, but not just afraid of the dark, kind of afraid. It's all the things as a young teenager that he struggles with, and he picked them out of and people who are like that, people who are sociopaths or, they can pick up on your weaknesses. Psychopaths too. They can pick up on it. Look at that makeup is brilliant. Even though we're seeing him a little more clearly here, he just looks terrifying, doesn't he? Doesn't he look terrifying? Like, give me a thumbs up if you guys think he looks terrifying. I think he just looks so terrifying. It's the best. I actually like this makeup job better than the makeup job in the original Elm Street. And it's very similar, but it's I'm telling you, I do. Part 3's okay too. Part 4's not bad, but this, he just looks so, it's the way they've done his eyes, and they've put almost the way they put like dark sort of shadows into his eyes. It almost looks like his eyes are sunken into his head more so than it does in the subsequent sequels and in the previous film. And there's something very eerie about that whole look. That's part that really complements the rest of the makeup. The makeup looks quite wet and sort of, really on his face. It's terrifying. He's terrifying in this movie. I love this. Look at that. Look at that face. Fuck, I got to get a screen cap of that. I got to remember that. I got to get a screen cap of that and post it. That's terrifying. Look at that. Look at that little smile. He's doing this. And it's just like, that's Freddy fucking Krueger, man. That's the Freddy. If they ever remake A Nightmare on Elm Street, that's the Freddy Krueger that I want to see. Is that type of Freddy Krueger. It's great. Oh, Tabitha Short gave me a thumbs up. Right on. Rock on. David Ferguson says, this film does seem a bit more standalone from the others. Oh, it is. It totally is, because when they went into part 3, they connected it to the original film. And then the subsequent sequels after that all sort of connect in their own way. So it is the black sheep of the family, like I said at the beginning of the broadcast. It's the Halloween 3 of the franchise. But there's something about it I really like. And like I said, I mean, I recognize some of the inconsistencies with Freddy Krueger in terms of the dream world and reality and, certain, like I do understand what some people have issues with, but it never bothered me. It just, I hate to say it, it didn't bother me. It felt justified in this movie. It felt organic. It felt like it was taking Freddy to the next level. It was the third movie that went back to the basics. And not that the third movie's bad. It's not. No, there's the Freddy versus Jason jump. Now, see, some people have speculated that this is actually Jesse doing this. In terms of we see Freddy. We see Freddy Krueger. But if we were one of the kids there, it would be Jesse. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people have talked about this scene like that, and I'm like, I get it. You could make an argument for that. I still like to think maybe it really is Freddy, because that's really fucking cool, because that's the way we as the audience see it. But you certainly could add that psychological component to it. It's interesting. It's terrifying. Oh, right in the gut. And then he just pulls right out. Oh, man. That kid just like... Oh, here comes... And then the father... Here comes one of my favorite moments. The father has to come out with a shotgun first. That sounded like an explosion.
Help yourself, fucker!
Love it! And I watch Freddy's face with the look at that, the flames in the foreground, and he's just looking at the dead like this. Look how sort of sunken in his eyes kind of look. What they did with his eyes, they look like they're further back in his head. See how they kind of look like they're further back in his head? That was brilliant. I wish they just would have kept that look for Freddy in the subsequent sequels. And the way he walks, he's kind of get this kind of look. Robert Englund portrayed Freddy beautifully in this movie. The physicality in the way he would walk and how he, was looking, and then he just kind of, he doesn't turn and walk towards the bush. He just kind of goes like this and just, just kind of veers, but he keeps his eye on you. Like he's walking that way, but he's still kind of doing this. And, it's great shit. It's great. It's great. I love it. It's a lot of fun. Now, are there things about this film that I could talk about that I don't like? Yeah, sure. But I tend to like to be more positive than negative when I do Saturday movie nights because it's just more fun that way. Darrin Sand says, High Tension is a great movie. Oh, High Tension is fantastic. Yes, I have High Tension on DVD. I don't have it on Blu-ray. I don't even know if it's out on Blu-ray. But High Tension is great because it's that. I now understand why you brought it up. Won't spoil it for anybody, but I totally get why Darrin brought it up. And why Frank brought it up. Got to give credit where credit is due. Frank brought it up, and Darrin says High Tension is a great movie. Yes, totally understand. Yes, I get what you're saying. So some people have interpreted that moment by the pool kind of like that. Like you know what I'm talking about. But of course you can make the argument as well that it is Freddy, which I kind of like to think that it is because it just looks so cool, But it's a sequel that, yes, it's definitely doesn't really fit when you go from 1 to 3. It's kind of like, what the hell was 2? But it's not. I personally think it's a better movie than it gets credit for. Once you start to look at it a little more objectively and look at it as its own thing, it's and of course the symbolism and the exploitation and what Jesse is struggling with and what Freddy's trying to do, and of course Freddy looks so terrifying and what she's trying to do to help Jesse, and it's not a bad film. It's not great, but it's not bad. You know what I mean? So now we're at the boiler, or the factory, I guess I should say, with all the boiler rooms and the steams. I like that subtlety of that. It's probably a key light back there just shining onto the pipes, and you get the mist coming down, and of course she's illuminated by a red light above her. She walks under it. Really, really nice. You get the shadows on the side of the curtain here with bars. You have another key light probably over here as she walks into the light. It's great. Yeah, really good atmosphere. That's so creepy. I get creeped out by shit like that. There's certain words that creep me out too. That like cluster. Oh, I hate the word cluster. Ugh. It's like, cluster. Reminds me of that scene when she's wiping it's clustery. I hate that word. And of course, the only way that she can save Freddy ultimately, or save Jesse, ultimately, is to, use her love and use love to fight evil, essentially, whatever. And she starts making out with Freddy. Not making out, but trying to sort of like suck face with Freddy Krueger, let's say. Now, you notice that? See how it was almost as if she fell, but she didn't really fall? So, again, there's that line. She really is in the location she's in. But because Freddy's sort of come into this reality, he's able to almost manipulate space and time almost. Or space, certainly. It's just so interesting. I think that was the exact same shot they used before with the knives on the bar. See, he wants to exploit her because he can sense the fear, but she's stronger by doing what she's doing. Yeah, it's cool. Great makeup job. Great makeup effects. And the fedora is great too. The fedora is just the right size. It's so great. Lycan Part 4. Sorry, Frank, what are you referring to? Lycan Part 4, you said? I must have said something that you said Lycan Part, or that made you think of that. Well, you can't have him back! He's murdered people, Lisa! But see, she's fighting it. She's not afraid. Look at him.
No, Jesse. Just me, Freddy.
He doesn't say that. It's a similar thing of what Nancy was doing in the original. It's different, obviously, because Nancy wasn't trying to, because her boyfriend was dead. So she was trying to save herself, while Lisa's trying to save Jesse. And her, obviously, but certainly Jesse. So her love and the lack of fear is weakening Freddy Krueger's control over not only Jesse, but over the reality that they're currently in. And that's really cool. Oh, here comes the suck face part. Oh, yeah. It's hot. Tabitha Short says, do you have soundproof walls or a door, Dave? Oh, because I'm in my basement. I'm in my home studio in the basement. I don't have soundproof walls necessarily, but I have some sound absorption foam in my studio because of what I do to record voiceovers. I have a booth off over there where I record. This is great. I love how what I really like about this is the fire that is surround. Look at that face. He's in pain. He's like, rah! And he's on fire again. Poor Freddy, he's getting burned again. Look at him melting. Oh, it's so good. It's so great. I miss effects like this. But this is all happening because Lisa wasn't afraid. She wasn't afraid. She did her best to not let the fear, any sort of insecurity she might have, she did not let Freddy exploit those. She stood up to him, which is the same thing. Like I said, it's the same thing. It's how you defeated him in the first movie, or how you defeated him for the time being. Frank Riker says Jesse is kind of is a coming out, so to speak. Yeah, in some ways, yeah, you could interpret it that way. Yep, absolutely. That's a great observation. You can absolutely interpret it that way. Now, we don't know what happens afterwards, but this whole experience and Jesse here taking the mask off, see? It's right, very, very good. He's taking the mask off. He's peeling back the layers, Obviously, their relationship will change slightly, I'm sure, as time goes on, because I do still believe that he is a gay teenager struggling with that side of himself, even though they don't really go into that per se, into the future of what happens with these two. But yeah, absolutely. And others have seen that as well. It's a great observation, Frank. He's looking at her thinking, I'm not attracted to you. Can you imagine? He says that? She's like, I don't care. That'd be funny. Yeah, and then we come right to the end of the movie. It's not a long movie, is it, guys? It's about 85 minutes long or so, with credits. So it's not a long film. Yeah, this is definitely West... Well, obviously, it's West Hollywood, because there's the house. This reminds me... It does look very much like the Midwest. If you were to... Okay, where they're standing, if you were to go right, literally 30 seconds, you're at Sunset Boulevard. And if you were to go a minute and a half along Sunset, you would be at Orange Grove, I think it is, which is the street that the Doyle house and the Wallace house are on. So clearly, yes. I mean, he just gave her a kiss, so obviously that's, he's they're going with the fact that that they will continue their relationship. But I still believe that it's something that, because some people interpret this actually as well. Keep in mind that this is actually a dream. And the reason why that he's having this dream here is because he's still suppressing something, and Freddy's still able to take advantage of that weakness. Some people have interpreted it like that as well. A lot of symbolism in this movie that you could play around with. It's really cool. I like how the driver no longer looks like Robert Englund, because it's not Robert Englund, right? But it doesn't look like him anymore. So it's like, oh, okay, maybe everything is okay. And there's a very slight edit, a slight cut before his hand comes through her chest. Watch for it. Very slight. There it was. Love it. Love it. And of course the bus goes off into the field. The guy's like, oh, fuck, here we go. That was fun. That was fun. It is the black sheep of the family, folks. Certainly when they made A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. I often like to say The Dream Warriors. It's actually not called that. If you look at the title of the movie, it's actually A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Not The. The's not even in there. Nonetheless. And that movie came out in 87, I believe. So there was a year, 1986, where there was no Freddy Krueger. And 87 was the Dream Warriors. 88 was Dream Master. 89 was Dream Child. And then there was nothing in 90. And then I believe 91 was Freddy's Dead. So, but when they did Elm Street 3, they, of course, Elm Street 3 essentially is the direct sequel to the original Elm Street. And this acts as that sort of kind of offshoot that was a little strange for some people. This did not do nearly as well critically as the original Elm Street did, for obvious reasons. It sort of went like this, and the critics were thinking, what the heck? But I think in retrospect, over the years, it has gained not only a cult following, but much more appreciation because of many of the things that we talked about here tonight. And many of the things that you guys talked about as well, and brought to my attention too. So definitely, I've never thought that it was a great movie, like overall. The original is far superior. But I've always really enjoyed it for the many things and many reasons that we talked about. And that Freddy, man, fuck, is he scary. Holy snapping crap. What do we got here? Darrin says, just knocked my bloody drink over reaching for the remote. Hopefully it wasn't wine, red wine falling onto a carpet or something. Hopefully it wasn't anything too major. Frank Riker says, another great night with the McRagers. Yes. Tabitha Short says, good movie. Darrin says, great fun, folks. Good night. Tabitha says, do you own any Freddy shirts, Dave? You mean like shirts with Freddy Krueger on it? I have a shirt where I have Freddy, Ghostface, Jason, and Michael playing poker or something. I have that, but I don't have... What I want to get is I want to get a Elm Street 2 Freddy silicone mask. That's what I want to get. Like if you guys haven't seen those, YouTube, when you have some time, Elm Street 2 Freddy silicone mask. I want to get one. And I want to get a Freddy sweater as well, because obviously I don't have a sweater. But I got the glove. I got the glove ready to go over there. And the hat that I use isn't a Freddy fedora traditionally, the one you've kind of seen me in. But it would do the trick. It would do the trick. I know there are purists in terms of costumes and cosplay and things like that who would be like, oh, no, you got to get the, and maybe I will. But I think the hat over there would do fine. As long as I had the shirt and the silicone mask. Oh my God, because it's silicone, right? So it goes to your face and you can move around and YouTube it when you have some time. Creepy as all hell. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me here on this Saturday movie night. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it was NFL football tonight, so some of you in the States may have been sort of watching two things at once. I don't know. I'm not a big NFL guy, but I appreciate nonetheless. And thank you to each and every one of you who are watching after the fact, because this will go right up onto my channel now. I appreciate that as well. And I will let you guys know, those of you in the chat room, my patrons, when the next Saturday movie night will be. I'm not sure when yet, because I haven't planned the February schedule yet, but we will figure it out. So in the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. You guys rock. You know who you are. Gotta get sure. Okay, I'm ready now. I'll talk to you guys soon.